Hello friend, happy Friday. Welcome to my video blog. It's Tea Time with Alex Gill, where we have casual conversations about big stuff. And whew, what a great and crazy week. Did you get to check my interview with Dr. Jill Carnahan, one of the most biggest experts, I would say, in the world right now in functional medicine. And she loaded my interview. It was about 27 minutes, 26 minutes, where she shared her wisdom about stress, how she handles her stress, how she had a life-threatening condition, cancer, and when she was only 25, and today she's so filled with vitality and energy, changing the world. So I had such a pleasure to interview her. So make sure you check the interview. I'll put a link below this video so you can watch it. But today I want to address a question that I got from one of my dear clients this week who contact me outside of our coaching call, because my clients know they can contact me anytime and I always support them if I can. But her question was, she was dealing with something pretty stressful at work, and her question to me was, how do I avoid going into panic, Alex? So I'm gonna answer that question because I'm sure a lot of you can relate to that. Think about the times you hire a coach because you want to deal with stress better, or you just, even if you don't work with a coach, you are really trying hard to handle your stress better, to handle your anxiety better. And of course, life sometimes doesn't pick the best times to throw some balls at us, right? So this client's already dealing with a lot of stress at work, had some health issues in the beginning of the year. So she's trying to get things together, cultivate more calm. And of course, there's a big challenge that came in her firm. So how do you, in that time that you already somewhat overwhelmed, you're already dealing with a lot in your plate, and something big comes that throws you off, how do you avoid going into panic mode? Because intellectually, of course, you know, if you go into a panic mode, you're going to make the situation worse. But it's one thing to know that intellectually, it's another thing actually telling your body to calm down. So let's recap here, because I'm going to teach you how to handle that. And if you watch my Facebook Live this week, I share something very similar. I'm going to teach you a very powerful exercise that can be the difference between you going into panic mode or you stay in a more neutral place, which is a place that's going to serve you much better. So remember, a couple weeks ago, I shared a video about the power that lives in between the stimulus and the response. So there's a stimulus, which is that challenge. So let's say you're part of my audience. So you're either an entrepreneur, you are a realtor, or you are in the workforce and you are a high achiever. You have a lot on your plate. You're dealing with many things at the same time. So the stimulus, let's say you lose a deal. That's the stress. You lose a deal, you lose a client. You get a bad review if you work for a firm. You just get a big stressor. So that is the stimulus. And there's a gap in between the stimulus and the response. The response is how you're going to respond to the event. So I put here, so to recap, there's a stimulus, which is the fact, what just happened. Let's say you lost a deal, you lost a client. And then there's a gap here that I'm not going to, and there's a response. What you do here in the middle, in between, is what is going to make a tremendous difference between the quality of your day, the quality of your life. So our power is in this gap between the stimulus and response. So number one thing you want to do when you get a big stressor towards you, what is the fact? Let's say the fact is you lost a deal, you lost a client, and you already did everything you could to get the client back, you lost a client. So number one thing that is going to empower you is to accept the fact. I could stop here and make this entire blog just about acceptance. Accept the fact that it happened. Accept reality. Then you want to really go into a solution-oriented mind or a growth mindset where you just learned the lesson. But most people and I don't know if you are the person, most people go into overwhelm, anxiety, fear, worry, and the end of the spectrum of that is panic. Why? Because right there in that gap, you might be choosing thoughts that generate anxiety, overwhelm, and fear in your body. Because the thoughts, once you start ruminating in thoughts that are negative, for example, you start worrying about all the terrible things that will happen because you lost this deal. You go into fear of criticism and judgment, for example, fear of not having enough money to pay your bills, fear of what your boss might say if you work in a firm, or your peers, fear that your reputation is going to be compromised because you lost that client. Whatever that is, if you ruminate in all those worrisome thoughts for more than 90 seconds, that's what neuroscience tells us, you start changing the chemistry of your body and you start having an emotional reaction. And that's what causes the anxiety. The anxiety is basically a physical response to your thoughts of fear. And that's when you're doing something dangerous. You're going into stories. There's a big difference between fact, I lost a deal. Stories are like this. Oh, my team is gonna think I'm a failure. This client is going to tell other people what a bad realtor or what a bad boss and entrepreneur I am. You start creating stories, and if you're being in a survival mode for a while, it's just the brain is wired to go there, to think of all the terrible things that can happen. And the truth is, if you're in a jungle, and you can be attacked anytime by a lion or by another tribe, that would be a legit concern, but we're not living in the jungle anymore. But the brain is still thinking. So when you go into those thoughts of like fear, anxiety, worry, your brain goes into that place looking for anything in the environment that might kill you. So you stay in that anxiety mode and you go into panic. All because of the stories you're creating. They're not real. So this is the strategy I want to give to you, so you don't go to panic. Think of a coin. I carry this coin every time in my pocket because we use terms like flip the coin, look on the other side, look at the other angle, right? So when you go into thoughts of worry, fear, anxiety, those thoughts, they're creating those emotional states, you basically just look at one side of the coin. You're looking at all the things that may, attention, the things that may go wrong. 99% of our worries don't happen. So there's a possibility that things can go terribly wrong. Sure, there's a possibility that you have some more consequences from losing a deal, from whatever that stimulus is. Sure there is. But when you stay in that place and you go into anxiety and panic, it's because you just consider one side of the story. One side of the coin. So if everything is going to be a story anyway, because all we know is the fact of what's going on at this moment, you don't know what the situation is going to bring. So if everything is going to be a story anyway, why don't we choose stories that will put us, let's flip the coin, stories that will create a place that is more neutral, a place of potential and possibilities. So let's say you don't even want to flip the coin, because flipping the coin would be to be positive. And that for some people is too far, because they feel like if they become super positive about a situation, they feel they're lying, they feel they're in denial. I get that. So maybe let's just go to the middle of the coin, which is not positive, it's not negative, it's neutral. It's a place that I call a place of potential, a place of possibilities. Or in metaphysics, would be called the 0 point, a place of pure potential. Go to a place of potential, because the truth is this. Let's say you lose a client. I'm going to bring this to me. As a coach, let's say I coach a client for the first time and they don't like my style. And I lose that client, I refund the client, and I can go into many stories like, oh my God, what did I do to, push the client away? I'm a bad coach. I offended a client. Or that person's going to tell all other people in the community that how bad I am. Yeah, I could go to the store. And it's possible that that person might do that because they didn't like my style. Or I can go to that place Well, it's better that our relationship ended right after the first session because this client is not ready for my work. This client is not ready to be an action taker. This client could actually cause a lot of problem and take a lot of my energy. And by losing this client, I actually open more room in my schedule for a client that can be a much better fit. And what is the lesson I can learn from this session? What could I have done differently? What could I have done better? You see, when I do that, I'm going to that place of potential first, the zero, that can potentially turn into something positive because maybe that client leaves. And actually something very similar happened to me 2-3 weeks ago when one of my students for my wave release group left the group, and I did everything I could to get that person back, but the person wasn't the fit. She didn't like the style of coaching, she needed more support, and it wasn't the right fit for her. So something similar happened to me. And because I believe that life is always working for us, there's always a blessing in the story, and there's always lessons. So go into a place that is neutral, because from there you will start seeing a bigger picture. You might start seeing what is good. You won't know until it happens. So again, because your mind is gonna make stories anyway, choose the stories that is going to calm you down. Choose the stories that is going to cancel the overwhelm, the anxiety. Look at potential possibilities. Those are some of my two favorite words, because when you think of what's possible, when you ask your brain what is possible from this situation, then you can't help yourself but to find some positives there. It's gonna happen. But if you just go to that place, there's nothing good, there's no choice, nothing good is gonna come out of this, then you choosing thoughts that will generate anxiety, overwhelm, and eventually put you in a panic state. So I hope this served you, and share your comments. I'd love to hear your insights about this video, and share with me what you want to hear more, what do you want to learn more about. And don't forget, I'm starting in August to put all this content to my private Facebook page. Private group is a closed group because I want to make sure I'm engaging with people who are interested in this content. So it's free. So I will put a link here. There are many links I need to share with you by now. So join my private Facebook page. And if you want to learn more strategies like the coin strategy and how to thrive in stress, how to thrive in moments that life brings you challenges, and you're ready to book a call, a free call with me, just shoot me a personal message, and I'll contact you. We can book that call, brainstorm for 15 minutes, and see if I can support you in any way in how to thrive in stress and transform stress into energy for success. Have an awesome week. I hope to see you next week. I'm gonna be in California for 7 days, finishing my master in neurolinguistics. It's massive learning, it's exhausting, so I can't promise I will be making videos next week. Maybe I'll just shoot a quick video on my phone to say hello. So I hope you have an awesome weekend. I'll talk to you very soon. Blessings.